Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Before we get going, this is probably going to be a long video. I got a lot of stuff, but if you want to join the private group where we do the extended videos, plus you don't have to deal with any commercials, you can do it two ways: daixrp.com, or you can click join below any of my YouTube videos if you'd rather join through YouTube. Don't forget, we've got this market. The engines are humming right now. You can feel it. If you haven't gotten yourself institutional custody, if you haven't gotten yourself an actual person you can speak to when you want to sell or talk about trading when this market takes off, if you haven't gotten the institutional liquidity necessary to get out when the time comes, then you need to go talk to Caleb and Brown, my affiliate partner. Go to xrpwealth589.com and click the sign up today button to do that. Now, it's Saturday, so we have a little fun on Saturdays and we do some dreaming. If you're like me, you're dreaming about what are you going to do when you finally hit your sell point on XRP. Well, if you're like me, you're going to buy things like paid for real estate. And so that's why I partnered with these guys from Gulf of America, XRP.com. Yesterday, every Friday you can sign up for, it's a free email newsletter, and every Friday they send me, and these are XRP guys. I specifically partnered with some guys that are XRP guys that are in the same boat as all of us. They're doing the dreaming too. And so every Friday they send me an email with properties on the Gulf of America. And that includes, everything from about Panama City all the way west on the Gulf of America there in Florida. So these guys have a long coverage area. They can also refer you to properties around Florida in other places as well, as if you're interested in other places. But what you're looking at here, this is what a $17+ million property this is what you can get in Florida. And by the way, as I've said, they have no income tax, no Florida state income tax. This is what a $17.5 or so million property looks like. This is what your view would be like. Wouldn't that be nice? And now I'm not saying everybody can go out and buy $17 million properties, which is why this is what a lot of people don't understand. You can get on the Gulf of America in Florida, you can get a beachfront condo either for yourself or for investment purposes or for a combination. You can do that into the, I'm thinking, $300,000 to $500,000 range. You can have a beachfront condo. I think that's about right. And these guys also know how to help you with 1031 exchanges. And if you're not familiar, it allows investors to defer capital gains tax on the sale of one investment property by reinvesting the proceeds into another like-kind property. Like-kind exchange must involve real estate properties, not personal property. Exchange properties must be in the United States to qualify. There are strict time limits. Replacing the property must be identified within 45 days, and the exchange must be completed within 100 days. Cash or mortgage differences. Anyway, so this is a $500 and something thousand condo in Florida. Okay, and this is what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so you can get very nice Gulf of America properties. Okay, so if you wanted to go sign up for their newsletter, or if you're interested in going and looking at property now, you can call them or text them at 850-890-8884. But if you're not ready yet, and you're like me, you're waiting on XRP price to go where you want it to go, you can sign up for their free email newsletter, and they're going to send that to you every Friday. You can also go in and configure the newsletter for the type of properties that you're looking for. If it's a $500,000 to $1 million, you can do that. If it's $1 million plus, you can do that. And these guys have been helping people cash flow investment properties there on the ocean for years. So go check it out. I like to show you that on Fridays. And I also want to remind you that we have crushed, and I do mean crushed, all previous records with XRP Las Vegas. If you haven't, there's less than 20 days left now. If you haven't gone and checked it and gotten your tickets, go to xrplasvegas.com. Largest XRP conference in the world and the largest XRP ledger builder developer conference in the world as of this year. We've got ourselves a 240 XRP, and the market is up as high as it's been in a long time, 3.29 trillion. Bitcoin's up almost 104,000. Check this out. Grayscale just put out their crypto snapshot, weekly snapshot, the top 10 crypto assets 1 week returns. Return year to date, guess who's winning? 11.5%. That would be XRP. Who's winning the return for 1 week? For 1 week, the return is Ethereum, followed by SUI, it looks like. XRP for 1 week, 4.7%. Then we got this from Good Morning Crypto. Grayscale's digital large cap fund index ETF, which contains XRP, is scheduled to launch July 2nd. This would be the first US XRP spot ETF product, meaning they have to go out into the market and buy XRP as people buy into the fund. Folks, if you don't think this will be a game changer, you've lost your mind. This is Eric Trump.
Those institutions who have waged war on cryptocurrency. Guys, in America, they've waged war against cryptocurrency. Make no mistake about it. They've sued everybody. They've gone after them using the SEC. They've waged war. They've tried to tax them. A person who pledged to add crypto to the United States Treasury. A person who pledged to make crypto tax-free. I mean, think about all these incredible things.
Okay. And then we have Tim Draper, who I think is one of the good guys, one of the Bitcoin maxi good guys, who also owns XRP, because I asked him in an interview one time, I said, why has nobody ever asked you if you own XRP? And he said, yes, I do own XRP. And I said, well, did you sell your XRP? I was being sarcastic. I said, did you sell your XRP when the SEC lawsuit dropped? And he started laughing, and he said, no, of course not. But here he says that Bitcoin is going to replace the US dollar, not unless you put it on the XRP ledger, because they're not going to wait for, the US dollar is not going to be waiting for confirmations that can take up to an hour.
What will eventually happen to US dollar dominance?
Yeah, I eventually think that we will no longer have US dollar dominance.
And there's also those stable coin thingies that are going to be used to prop up the US dollar.
A long period, but that's over a long period of time.
A ballpark estimate of how, when Bitcoin will replace the US dollar?
10 years, something like that. It may be a little less, because there will be a moment. I mean, the good news here is that banks can now hold your Bitcoin and your fiat currency. And so if you desperately, you're you see it on social media, hey, we got to get rid of our dollars, we got to buy Bitcoin. You can do it pretty quickly online, but you don't want to be, in line at the banks trying to get your dollars out to put them into Bitcoin when there is a transformation.
Okay, this is Ripple Drop. This is Lauren Belive. It says I don't follow her, but I think I do. Head of US Policy at Ripple.
I feel good. I'm ready. I'm an athlete, so let's do this thing. Hi, I'm Lauren Belive, and this is Crypto in a Minute. It all comes down to my favorite quote from The West Wing. Decisions are made by those who show up. And in 2024, Ripple showed up. It was the Biden administration, and we were under Gary Gensler's reign of terror, where he issued over 100 different enforcement actions across the crypto industry. That is not regular order. So Ripple decided to really invest its time and energy in the political process, working tirelessly to educate bipartisan members on our technology and our work around consumer protection. We went to the DNC, we invested into the RNC, and we participated throughout the campaign cycle. And now we have the most pro-crypto Congress, as well as a pro-crypto president. We attended the inauguration along with the inaugural White House Crypto Summit. We are working with Congress as it puts pen to paper on bipartisan legislation that will define the next 100 years of our industry. And we are excited about all the potential that there is to come.
The next 100 years, folks. BlackRock met with the SEC crypto task force today, this is yesterday, discussing staking in ETFs, tokenization, crypto ETF approval standards, and more. World's largest asset manager fully engaged on crypto. And they all pretended like they didn't like all this stuff for a decade, folks. This is how Wall Street plays the game. Eleanor Terrett spoke to the chair of the GOP banking committee, I guess, Senator Tim Scott, who said political repercussions for Democrats who voted against moving forward with the Genius Act on Thursday will be painful. He added that he hopes the inevitable backlash from the crypto industry encourages them to realign and help get the bill passed. He voiced frustration with the bill's Democrat co-sponsor. And this one shocked me. Senator Gillibrand, she's the one that's been running around with Senator Loomis for the last 5 years, talking about how pro-crypto she is, and then she voted no on this bill. This, to me, is a tell. This tells me that we're just watching political posturing and that this thing's a done deal. To me, that's a canary in the coal mine right there, that she voted against it. They're playing games. We're getting stablecoin legislation, and we're also getting crypto infrastructure legislation, folks. Here's Kathy Wood, who just can't quit talking about Bitcoin.
What would your new target be?
Yes, so we have always had a 2030 target, the base case in the 700 to 750,000 range, the bull case in the $1.5 million range. David Puel, our analyst and our on-chain analyst, put that piece out recently, and you can see the building blocks, how much share we expect Bitcoin to either take from gold or grow that store of value market. Institutions moving in, and they've barely moved in. We have 1 million more coins, roughly, to be minted ever, and institutions are just testing the waters right now. And then there's the emerging market use case as well. So we think we have miles to go. Yes.
All right, and then we've got some interesting stuff now, folks. This Tether stuff, I was seeing yesterday some things about how Tether's going to be brought in with the new version of the stablecoin bill. Look, let's cut through all the BS. If Tether is allowed in the U.S., that is your 1,000%, which I've said all along. That's your 1,000% confirmation that this was a government project all along, because these guys cannot survive an audit, or I won't say they can't survive it, but I'll say they won't do it because they have things there they don't want to be seen. And if they're allowed to come into the United States without doing that audit and without being completely transparent, that's how you know this was a government op all along, which I've always thought Tether was nothing more than a prototyping of backing up the US dollar.
I'm very excited because
remember, Gensler didn't go after Tether. They made it look like that the Justice Department for a while was going to do something, but they never did anything. They never did anything significant. They didn't shut it down, which is what they would have done if you or I created Tether.
Now the US, that is the most powerful country in the world, is in the process of regulating a technology that Tether created in 2014. So we are grateful. I think that we are seeing a lot of progress in our discussions with US stakeholders. The reason why I'm there is to explain why the technology that we created so many years ago, sure, is interesting for the United States, but the reality is that people in the United States have hundreds of ways to pay each other, while people in the emerging markets, developing countries, they are struggling to just holding their national currency that is devaluating very fast against the US dollar. Think about the Turkish lira, the Argentinian pesos, and so on. So the Turkish lira lost 80% of its value against the US dollar in the last 5 years, and the Argentinian peso lost 90+% of its value against the US dollar in the last 10 years. So it's all these people are turning to USDT. We have more than 400 million users in these countries, in the emerging markets, and we're growing. We grew 46 million wallets in the last 3 months, in the last quarter. So we are the living proof that stable coins are the way to go for the emerging markets, are also very helpful to bring the US dollar hegemony to the next level and push back against the de-dollarization push of the BRICS countries that are actually building infrastructure and bringing new types of currencies to trying to undermine the US dollar in Africa, in Central South America, and so on. So I think Tether is the last stronghold for US dollar hegemony, and that's something that I believe in the US is not very well understood and needs to be understood very well while they are crafting.
And you have to understand, all the Bitcoin people want Tether to be brought into the US so that it continue to pump the price of Bitcoin. That's how the game's played. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com, which is the Patreon, or if you'd rather join through YouTube, click the join button below this. We're going to talk what's everybody saying about, with this recent XRP price bump, what's everybody saying about what's coming and what might happen with the SEC settlement finally happening. We're waiting on the judge. The judge has to sign off on their settlement agreement, I'm assuming, and then the SEC the final step will be the SEC commissioners voting on it, and then it's a done deal. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.